Are you attending graduation next week? Well, get ready for the crazy chaos that is Ole Miss parking.
But have no fear. Coming up, find out what changes are on the way to make it easier.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Annie Mapp.
And I'm Grace McClanahan.
The Pride Parade will be celebrated on the Oxford Square this Saturday.
Annabeth Pavakolich finds out what Pride Weekend means to LGBTQ students.
And I think Pride specifically is the time to celebrate being out and being proud and being unapologetic.
Oxford is hosting its third annual Pride Parade this weekend to celebrate the LGBTQ community. The Sarah Isom Center partnered with students in 2016 to launch the first parade in the city. Since then, the parade has been a citywide event held annually with the help of several local sponsors.
So that's actually one of the reasons why I came to Oxford. When I was in high school, the mayor at the time came out with a declaration declaring that the city of Oxford was a welcoming community.
The vice president of the UN Pride Network, Brenna Paola, will be marching in the parade with her club members to represent the organization, the university, and the LGBTQ community.
For me, it's very liberating to be able to be out and exposed in the open as a queer person. And I think that that's shared by many people because in day-to-day life, sometimes it gets really hard to be out or you feel very judged. And the parade has this setting where the atmosphere is accepting no matter how you come. It's very come as you are.
The Oxford Pride Parade will be right here in the Oxford Square this coming Saturday, May 5th at 2 p.m. Annabeth Pavakolich, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
Businesses like Bottle Tree Bakery, the Lyric, and Proud Larry's have hosted other Pride events throughout the year leading up to this weekend. And the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity on campus has been put on probation until 2021. This is due to a hazing discovery, according to the Student Affairs Office. The investigation started earlier this year, sparking concerns for student health and safety. Alpha Phi Alpha is the second campus Greek organization to be suspended this year. Sigma Alpha Epsilon was suspended earlier this year, also because of hazing. Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and Dean of Students Mindy Sutton-Ross said the Hazing Prevention Task Force will make more recommendations in the upcoming weeks based on the investigation.
Traffic flow and parking led to gridlock at the Ole Miss graduation ceremonies a year ago, but Tori Rees found out that there are changes this year that might make things much smoother.
Graduation is an exciting time for many students and their families. With so many people coming into town, there's a lot of preparation going in to make sure the weekend goes as smoothly as possible. However, some seniors still don't know where their families will be able to park.
I think on the day of graduation, parking will be a really stressful part of it because no one knows. A lot of people coming out of town don't know where to go, and they're just going to be following people around until they get to where they need to be.
Last year's graduation caused much stress on visitors due to parking issues, but the Director of Parking and Transportation, Mike Harris, has made several changes to try to eliminate those problems.
Last year we had some issues, obviously, and what we've tried to do every year is look at what happened and what went right and what went wrong and then try to make that better. So this year we no longer have the 1 o'clock situation, so we've elongated that time between the 11 and the 3 to allow for that traffic to flow off campus and to flow on campus and to kind of give us that breather in the middle to make all that work a lot better.
He also touched on canceling the one-way flow of traffic. He hopes that these changes can make the day go smoothly for graduates and their families.
We hope that the changes we've made this year will make it a lot more efficient, a lot more I guess you'd say intuitive for people to understand where they need to go and what they need to do, but you never know till you do something. So we'll continue to tweak, we'll continue to try new things until we find something that works.
The shuttle service on campus will have various spots for people to get picked up and shuttled to their specific locations, but here at the Pavilion Parking Garage is where they want anyone for ADA or disabilities to come and park, and they'll have shuttle services throughout the day to get them to see their loved ones being able to graduate. Tori Rees, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
For more specific details on where to park, visit our Facebook page. We've posted a link with the details. Hotels tend to get booked weeks before graduation season. Lauren Conley looks at your options leading up to the big weekend.
Oxford's Marriott Courtyard is fully booked for graduation weekend. Director of Sales, Nicole List, says getting a room takes some serious planning.
We've actually had guests book rooms a year in advance or even try to book further out than a year in advance. So as soon as they have, like a sophomore or a junior, they're already calling us.
Hotel rooms in Oxford tend to go fast during graduation season, but some students have found an alternative for a place to stay for their families. Ole Miss Junior Carly Kilker says her parents booked a rental property for her graduation next year.
They're looking for a place where they can have flexibility to just come in and out. It's kind of like home, and they can be closer to me.
Kilker points out that rental homes, which can be booked through sites such as Airbnb and VRBO, give a more homey feel and are generally cheaper than hotel rooms during busy seasons such as graduation. Lauren Cunley, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
List urges juniors to make sure they start talking with their families about where they should stay for graduation next year as soon as possible.
And with classes ending in graduation next week, most students will be leaving Oxford soon. Colin Rivera find out that Oxford business is still good in the summertime.
With almost a week before summer begins, students are beginning to make plans to head back home. While many may think that the businesses would experience a decline in revenue during these few months, it's not as bad as one might think. Nielsen's general manager Lane Wilson explains how there are different variables occurring in Oxford that keep money rolling in.
While we certainly see a decrease in the student population here, the fact that you have all these orientation sessions now, we don't have to gear down as much as we normally would. Because when the students come for orientation, they're looking for Ole Miss stuff or, khaki pants or navy blazers or some great shirts. On the men's side and the women's side, they're starting to look for the things they may need for a rush or just their first year up here. So that has gone a long way to lessen the blow of summertime.
It goes without question that the majority of students leaving during the summer has an effect on businesses, but thanks to local residents, they are helping keep the local bars and restaurants busy.
We still get a number of regulars from people that live here and everything. So I say demographic-wise, middle age and everything like that, and the younger kids, still in high school, middle school and stuff like that, they still come through and everything. So they pretty much, they balance out the ecosystem, and they tend to come a little bit more and stuff like that when the loud crowd tends to leave, I guess.
Despite a decrease for student revenue for businesses here on the square, one thing remains constant, and that is you can still get a ticket if you don't pay for your metered parking. Colin Rivera, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
Both Proud Larry's and Nielsen's will operate under normal hours during the summer. An organization working in more than 70 countries around the world is helping refugees on the Ole Miss campus. Alexandra Morris found that the group's work is making an impact for Ole Miss students.
It is, but keep going, So at least you're helping.
65.6 million people are forced from home. Every single minute, about 20 people are newly displaced. Doctors Without Borders is a nonprofit organization that helps refugees get medical treatment and obtain basic necessities. They have been touring campuses to spread the word about their work.
Doctors Without Borders, our primary mission is to offer medical care to people, but our secondary mission is to be an advocate for our patients, to bear witness to what we see on the ground. There's a lot of places where we're going where the voices of our patients aren't being heard, either on an international level or even on a national level. In those cases, we find it's really important that when we leave, our job isn't done. So we need to still talk about what we've seen, we need to talk about our patients, and we need to talk about why they're suffering so that people can try to help. We help them in the immediate, but we recognize we're only a Band-Aid. And that's one of the reasons why we do these kinds of public outreach campaigns.
This organization has been successful in bringing these realities to students. Here on Business Row, you can come visit their pop-up exhibit or take different virtual tours showing refugees' stories and experiences. Doctors Without Borders is definitely making an impact on the Ole Miss campus.
I'm glad that it's here, and I hope more students come to watch it so they'll be like, wow, I'm privileged too, and what can I do to help these people that aren't as privileged as I am?
Being able to see it like with your own eyes is different than me just reading about it or seeing the facts, like seeing the face of the mother with her 2 children that got sick the first month they were there in the camp. Like, that's so much more realistic.
It maybe opened up my eyes because I didn't realize like people actually struggle every day trying to get basic needs to live.
I didn't realize like how severe things still are, and awareness is definitely important. So Doctors Without Borders coming to campus to make people aware is definitely helpful. But the work that they do, I think, makes a huge difference.
Alexandra Morris, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Doctors Without Borders will be on Business Row again tomorrow. If you would like to get more involved, visit forcefromhome.com.
They always say reading a book is the best way to learn new things.
Asia Harris stopped by Square Books Jr. to learn more about Storytime.
Square Jr. is a premier children's bookstore on the Oxford Square. Store owner Jillian Moore tells us about Storytime.
Storytime, we started very shortly after opening. I mean, first idea of business is to get people in your store. And we knew that there was a need, there's always a need for somewhere to take your toddlers and children in the daytime.
Storytime is every Wednesday and Saturday at 10 a.m.
A lot of times kids just play while I read, and I'm not worried about that. It's all about having the book out and children being around books and being around people reading books that teaches them that that's going to be a intricate part of their everyday life.
Bookseller Lita Patterson brings her grandchildren when they are in town.
I have grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren, a new grandbaby that was born about 2 weeks ago. And the oldest grandson loves this store. He's 5, and he is almost has grown up here. When he comes, we always come here. And he adores Jill, as everybody in this town does. And we've come to story time when he is in town, and he loves it.
This Saturday, Mrs. Jill will be reading The Saggy Baggy Elephant along with a special guest at 10 a.m. This is Asia Harris, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
Coming up, find out what data firm is closing due to recent scandals.
But first, Brian Barisa has your first look at the current conditions.
Good afternoon, Rebels. We're going to start seeing some warm summer-like temperatures, but not to surprise anybody, we're going to have a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow, but next week is going to be nice and sunny for the finals. As we look at our current radar, you can see that there's nothing over us right now, but I'll let you know about what's coming during our extended forecast on Stormwatch.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I know, I
that.
heard. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Yes, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Rudy Giuliani, who recently joined President Trump's legal team, raised eyebrows yesterday in a Fox News interview. He said the president did reimburse attorney Michael Cohen the $130,000 paid in hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels. The revelations opens up a series of new questions. Rudy Giuliani admitting President Trump repaid Michael Cohen for the hush money given to porn star Stormy Daniels just days before the 2016 election.
I'm giving you a fact now that you don't know. It's not campaign money. No campaign finance violation. So
they funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through the law firm, and the president repaid it.
Giuliani's remarks directly contradicting President Trump's own words last month.
President, did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
No.
Do you know where he got the money to make that payment?
No, I don't know.
In March, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders also said the president was unaware of the payment.
I've had conversations with the president about this. There was no knowledge of any payments from the president, and he's denied all of these allegations.
Despite this, Giuliani later telling the Washington Post that Mr. Trump was well aware he was eventually going to disclose that the president did in fact pay Daniels. Giuliani suggesting the president did not know the specifics of the payment until recently, but that Cohen's monthly retainer was intended to take care of these kind of situations.
When I heard Cohen's retainer of $35,000 when he was doing no work for the president, I said, but that's how he's repaying. That's how he's repaying it, with a little profit and a little margin for paying taxes for Michael.
Giuliani insists there was no crime or violation of campaign finance laws in the president repaying Cohen. Today is the National Day of Prayer. People across the country of all faiths are encouraged to participate and pray for the nation. It was created in 1952 by a joint resolution of Congress and signed into law by President Harry S. Truman. The White House observed the occasion by inviting various spiritual leaders to say a blessing in the Rose Garden. President Trump also signed an executive order to create a faith-based office. He said it would ensure that all faith-based communities have strong advocates in the White House and throughout the Trump administration.
Las Vegas police released body camera video yesterday that shows officers entering gunman Stephen Paddock's hotel room last October. In all, about 3 hours worth of footage from 2 officers was released. It shows officers coordinating on the Mandalay Bay casino floor and then entering another room where they ordered guests to evacuate. Then they breached Paddock's suite. This video is the first to be released as a result of a February court order. A judge ruled police must release public records of the deadliest mass shooting in modern history. Stephen Paddock shot and killed 58 people at a festival on October 1st before committing suicide. The data firm that worked on President Trump's 2016 presidential campaign is closing its doors. Cambridge Analytica released a statement yesterday saying the company is immediately ceasing all operations and that bankruptcy proceedings will begin soon. This comes after the company faced backlash over allegations of misuse of the personal Facebook data of millions. Cambridge Analytica denies misusing Facebook data for President Trump's campaign.
Well, it's getting even hotter outside, and I wonder if it will be too hot for finals next week.
You know, Brian Barisa will let us know in his extended forecast coming up next on Storm Watch.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Good evening, Oxford. It has currently been a hot one today at 84 degrees and partly cloudy with some strong winds coming from the south. But as you've seen today, no chance of rain. Looking at our current satellite image, you can see that while today there is no chance of rain, that is definitely not the case coming up as we have this huge system on its way in. Taking a look at our current temperatures, you have 83 in South Haven, 84 in Oxford, and 85 in Holly Springs, Corinth, and Tupelo. Looking at tomorrow's temperatures, it's 79 in South Haven, 78 Holly Springs, Oxford 80 degrees, Corinth at 83, and Tupelo at 84. As we look at tonight's forecast, it'll be 65 degrees and partly cloudy. The winds will be coming from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and there is currently no chance of rain as well. Looking at tomorrow, however, it is going to be 80 degrees, overcast, with that chance of rain that you could see in the satellite image. Winds are coming from the southwest even faster at 10 to 15 miles an hour, and there's a 20% chance of rain. Looking at our 5-day forecast, you can see it's going to be 75 degrees and rainy on Saturday, so if you're heading out to the parade, make sure you bring your umbrella. 81 on Sunday, 80 on Monday, 82 on Tuesday, and 84 on Wednesday. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Brian. 2 tennis players for Ole Miss received high honors. See who they were.
And the Ole Miss basketball program signed a new recruit. See who it was next.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I bought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Rebel fans, what's happening? Jason Price here to bring you the last Thursday edition of Sports Watch for the semester. And I know it's pretty sad, but to cheer you up, how about hearing that the baseball team rolled over Arkansas Pine Bluff at home last night, 10-3. The Rebs got popping early with the Nick Fortes going yard in the first inning, notching his 9th homer of the season. Fortes was closely followed by Anthony Servideo, who blasted one out of Swayze, making the score 6-0 after just 2 innings. Jordan Fowler picked up his 5th win of the year in just 6 starts, and Mike Bianco is now only 3 wins away of reaching 800 career wins. From the diamond to the concrete courts, 2 Ole Miss tennis players have been named to the All-SEC first and second teams. Sophomore Tim Sancolin made the first team, and senior Gustav Hansen earned second team honors. With Hansen missing a large part of this season, Sancolin took over the number 1 position and went with a record of 7-6. With the second team honor, Gustav Hansen becomes the 4th player in program history to earn SEC honors all 4 years of his career. The Rebels will face Duke in the first round of the NCAA tournament on May 12th. Ole Miss basketball has notched 4-star recruit forward KJ Buffin, which is the first signee during the Kermit Davis era. The 6'7", 220-pound forward from Gainesville, Georgia, was a 4-year starter who averaged 16 points and 7 rebounds in a senior season and received first-team All-State honors. Buffin also led his high school team to a 25-5 record and a spot in the state championship. Coach Davis says Buffin is a very versatile hybrid forward and possesses outstanding athletic ability. The Ole Miss women's golf freshman duo of Julia Johnson and Connor Beth Ball now have SEC honors to back up their spectacular performances throughout the season. Johnson was named SEC Freshman of the Year, being the first Rebel ever to receive the honor. Johnson was also named second team All-SEC, and Ball was named to the SEC All-Freshman and Community Service teams. Johnson enters the postseason while riding a streak of 9 straight top 20 finishes, and Ball looks to add on to her 4 top 10 finishes on the season. The team will now head to the NCAA Regionals in San Francisco and is set as a 10 seed. Well, that's all we got for sports, but be sure to follow our Twitter at NewsWatch_UM for more of your favorite sports updates. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jason. Coming up, find out what audiobooks and horses have in common. It's definitely something to know about.
Stay tuned. There's more NewsWatch when we return.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
What's in a name? Well, in the case of Saturday's Kentucky Derby, one horse's name earned it the backing Amazon Audible. The horse shares his name with Audible, the audiobooks application. The horse is not named after Audible, the company. Still, Amazon is promoting the coincidence ahead of the race.
Audible, the company, announced on Twitter that if Audible, the horse, wins, they will give away free American Pharoah audiobooks to everyone in the U.S. In 2015, American Pharoah became the first horse since 1978 to take the coveted Triple Crown. Amazon's Audible is also donating to a nonprofit that helps care for retired racehorses.
Well, Grace, Brian, are you guys a fan of the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, I mean, I hear the weather's always wonderful. Is the weather in Oxford this weekend going to be the same?
Well, Saturday's going to be pretty rainy, but Sunday should be okay. So,
all right, we'll take it.
Thanks, Brian. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Annie Mapp.
Be sure to catch us here again on air at 5 and on our Facebook live stream. You can also find our show on hottytoddy.com. I'm Grace McClanahan. Thank you and good night.